Reese Witherspoon tried to warn Blake Lively 15 years ago, and if you think I'm lying, watch this clip, which came around the time when rumors about Blake and Ben Affleck's relationship were at their
If you made a mistake, you were embarrassed and you hid it under your bed. And like if you took naked pictures of yourself on your cell phone, you hide your face, people. Like, hide your face.
Now, to understand the context behind this statement, let's go back to 2010, where Blake Lively was part of this movie, The Town, along with Ben Affleck. At that time, Ben was married to Jennifer Garner, and Blake was in a relationship with Penn Badgley. What I want y'all to understand is that both of them were in committed relationship when they started working together on The Town. But still, as these online theories suggest, the professional boundaries disappeared the moment they started work.
So Penn and Blake began dating in 2007. And in August of 2009, Blake and Ben Affleck started filming The Town. And this was around the time that Ben Affleck was married to Jennifer Garner. And then we have this big naughty photo scandal where these photos hit the internet. They were published on Perez Hilton, but the naughty photos were allegedly sent to Ben Affleck.
To make sure she kept Ben Affleck's attention during filming, she took pictures of herself on her phone and sent them directly to him. Now, I can't show those pictures here, but it's just one Google search away. And yeah, I know this type of stuff happens in Hollywood all the time, and that's already but many people had noticed that Blake Lively has had a different kind of interest in married. She is now married to Ryan Reynolds, who at the beginning of their relationship was already Scarlett Johansson. I mean, do y'all think that it's a one-time mistake? Because I have literally found a pattern of behavior that goes back years and years. She has this documented history of going after leading men who are already in relationships. I'm not saying she prefers dating guys who are already taken, but there's something about that power couple theories that she gravitates toward.
It's, nerve-wracking. It's your first day on set, you're doing your characters. It's there to tell a key part of the story in their relationship. And I was nervous the night before, and I remember talking to Jeremy. And so I thought, I don't know what's gonna happen. And he said, it's just all in the eyes. That was it.
That's all I ended up in the scene.
When those pictures she sent to Ben Affleck were leaked on the internet, everyone was wondering about the same thing. Who was behind this scandal? Hackers get blamed for this stuff all the time, right? Someone probably broke into her phone and released them to the world. Except a lot of people in the industry knew this was not a genuine. Sources claimed that Blake Lively leaked those pictures herself. When you think about her motivations, it actually reveals a lot. Those pictures created a massive media storm on herself, and suddenly everyone was talking about it. She even got everything that she wanted, which was decent limelight, pretty much like Kim Kardashian, who also used a specific video to become popular. But the real life consequences for Blake were his partner, Penn Badgley, felt very bad. He had to deal with the fact that his girlfriend was sending pictures to a married director. After the leak happened, he and Blake broke up. She ended her own relationship by doing this, and also caused a lot of damage to Ben Affleck's marriage with Jennifer Garner.
There's some people, though, like Blake Lively, I heard, sort of didn't understand.
Blake, yes, is not 40. Blake is 21 or whatever she is, 22. She's a fabulous, as you can see, she's a gorgeous young woman.
Garner had to face this huge public betrayal, and it was quite painful to watch. This is exactly when Reese decided to step in. During the MTV Movie Awards, she walked up to accept her golden popcorn trophy, where she could have just said thank you and walked off stage. But that's not what she did. Instead, she said this, and I quote, "If you take pictures of yourself on your cell phone, you hide your face." Well, everyone in the industry knew exactly what talking about. And the fact is, when Reese told people to hide their face, they're taking private pictures on their phone, she was talking about Blake's worst mistake. Because here's the thing, in her leaked pictures, her face was clearly visible. Reese was just highlighting that fact public on stage in front of the entire world. She was calling out Blake's behavior and warning the entire younger generation not to follow that same path. It was a massive public embarrassment for Blake, delivered by one of the most respected women in higher industry. And the best part, Reese did it so gracefully that nobody could really call her out for being arrogant. But that's not the end of the story, because recently a TikTok video has resurfaced that Jennifer Garner posted while she was filming Deadpool and Wolverine.
This is where I go to commune with Blake Lively. See how she's doing. How you doing, Blake? You're looking good.
Now, In this video, she's joking around, talking to this statue where she says, "This is where I go to with Blake Lively." See how she's doing? And then she points to this statue and says, "How you doing, Blake? Looking good." Now, many people shared a screenshot of this post, and what I found interesting was Garner's caption for the video as she wrote, "Filmmaker note, yes, of course it's beautiful Scarlet Witch." In case y'all don't know, in the Marvel movies, Scarlet Witch is this character who basically caused trouble in people's lives and takes things that don't belong to her. She's the one who ruins relationships and causes all kinds of chaos. So when Jennifer Garner captions her video about communing with Blake Lively and then calls the statue Scarlet Witch, that's not really a coincidence. When you add this to everything else we already know, the clip takes on a different. She's basically confirming in her own way that, yeah, that whole thing was real, and yeah, she's not just gonna forget about it. She's going to reference it whenever she gets the chance, and she's gonna do it in a way that's funny enough that she can play it off as a joke while also making her point perfectly clear. Now, back in the day, Reese and Jennifer were quite close friends, and Reese is not the kind of person who sits back and watches a friend suffer alone. Jennifer Garner has already talked about how much Reese helped her during this really tough period created by Blake and her ex-hubby.
I think back to going through a very public, very hard moment in my life. This one was right there, and the way I needed to get through it was dance cardio. And I danced cardioed so hard we broke her foot, but she kept going.
So Reese didn't just text Jennifer and say, "Aw, that's so sad, hope you feel better soon." She literally worked out with Jennifer constantly. Jennifer recalled that they danced cardio so hard that they actually broke her friend's foot. That's the kind of friend Reese, when you need someone, she shows up and she doesn't quit, even when she's literally injured herself, helping you get through the pain. And this wasn't like a one-time thing for Reese either. She does this all the time for people. Like when Robert Pattinson found out that his girlfriend Kristen Stewart cheated on him, he was heartbroken and had no place to hide. Reese had worked with him on Water for Elephants a while back, so she reached out and offered him a place to stay at her private vacation ranch in California.
We know Robert Pattinson is obviously feeling a little bit blue these days since he learned about Kristen Stewart's affair with Rupert Sanders. There's been reports that Rob has been in both LA and London, but according to a news story in Us Weekly, he's been leaning on his close pal Reese Witherspoon, staying at her ranch in Ojai, California.
Now, Reese is definitely this protector of her friends and the people she cares about. Watching Blake Lively hurt Jennifer Garner like that made her furious. Blake had hurt her friend deep, and Reese was never going to forget it or let it go. She remembered everything, but she was waiting for the right moment, and that moment arrived last year. During Blake Lively's press tour, Reese was paying attention. She watched every moment when Blake acted cold toward journalists or treated people like they were working under her, and Reese recognized that behavior. But this time, she didn't need to go back to the award show to mock Blake. She had something even better, which was her own television show called Morning Show. During a scene in season 3, there's this character named Stella who jokes about putting the company's CEO in the basement with the rats.
"We've got rats in a basement. That should be more comfortable for you."
To a normal viewer just watching the show, it probably just sounds like another line in a show about corporate drama. Like, okay, she's making a joke about her boss, but to anyone who had been paying attention to what was happening with this Justin Baldoni situation, the meaning was absolute. Reese was shading Blake Lively for putting Justin in the basement before the movie, for treating him like he was nothing, like he didn't matter, like she could just lock him away and pretend he didn't exist. Reese used her multi-million-dollar television show to permanently cement that whole story into television. She was letting Blake know that she sees everything and she protects the people who actually do the hard work. It's kind of funny when you think about it. Blake spent all that energy trying to overpower Justin, trying to erase his contribution, trying to make herself the star of his own movie, and then Reese took that exact story and put it in a show that people are going to be watching for years.
I don't get depressed or sad, I get angry.
The jab Reese took at the 2011 MTV Awards was not a small thing. It was a warning that the truth about Blake Lively's character would eventually come out into the light for everyone to see. The industry knows the truth now. The people who do the work will always win out over the people who steal, copy, and manipulate and fang her. Both on that stage back in 2011 and on the morning show just recently, the entire world finally knows exactly who Blake Lively has always been.
I think for years in Hollywood, I watched the abuse of power.
Oh yeah.
And power corrupting. And also people assuming power when they hadn't really done the work to have the power.
Now, this rivalry is professional as well, and honestly, this is where things get kind of funny when you notice. So, Reese Witherspoon has built something really impressive. She has Hello Sunshine, which is this wildly successful production company that's been cranking out amazing content for years. We're talking about movies, television shows, all based on books she actually reads and loves. She hunts for great stories, she buys the rights, she works with writers and directors to turn them into something real and meaningful. Blake Lively looked at all of that, and she wanted these things as well. She wanted respect, power, prestige, everything that comes with being seen as a creative force in this industry. But here's the thing, Reese has been building that reputation for decades. You can't just snap your fingers and get that. That's why Blake starts her own production company and she names it B for Effort. But wait, that sounds familiar. Well, that's because Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston have this production company called Plan B that they've had since 2001. Blake basically just copied the concept, changed one letter, and called it her own original idea. She couldn't even be bothered to come up with something that didn't directly reference someone else's already successful brand. And here's where it gets really embarrassing. B for Effort became a total joke in Hollywood. People started calling it out for lack of effort because the company never actually produced anything. Like, she announced all these big projects to the media, including Dark Days at the Magna Carta, along with Lady Killer, but sadly, she also abandoned all of them. You know why? Because producing a movie from scratch is actually really hard work. It requires dedication, long hours, dealing with budgets and schedules and creative differences, and a million other problems. Blake and Ryan Reynolds, they're too lazy for that. They want money without putting in the actual labor. So B for Effort sits there looking important but producing apps. It's basically just a business card she can use to pretend she's a real filmmaker. And this pattern of not being able to come up with original ideas, that's not just limited. Blake looks around and sees how much money other celebrities are making in the beauty and lifestyle. Everyone from Rihanna to Millie Bobby Brown has their own successful brand now, and she jumps in on that trend as well by launching her own hair care line, Blake Brown, which sounds fine on the surface, right? Her name, Brown, whatever. But when you look at it more closely, things get kind of creepy. The name is super similar to Millie Bobby Brown's last name, and it also sounds a lot like Bobby Brown, which is this iconic legacy makeup brand that's been around forever. To be honest, Blake Lively just took out this whole stuff from that popularity without doing any of the work to build something original. In business, this tactic is known as a cheater. The whole point is to name your new company something that's really close to an already successful brand, hoping that people will get confused and think you're associated with them or that you're just as good. The goal is to steal some of that attention without putting in the years of hard work it takes to actually build original brand recognition. That's basically Blake's whole. She copies what other people have done because she doesn't have the talent or the drive to invent anything new herself. Whether it's Brad Pitt's production company, Bobby Brown's makeup legacy, or Millie Bobby Brown's skincare line, she just sees what works, steals the name concept, and slaps her own label. It's lazy, kind of unethical, and honestly, it never really works in the long run because people figure out pretty quickly that there's nothing.
People started to grow such a disliking for Blake Lively right at the moment she was launching Blake Brown. And it's really very likely that the brand's lukewarm performance so far is a result of her declining reputation and likability.
All right, so here's where things get more crazy because we've been talking about this rivalry between Reese and Blake, right? The production companies, the shade, all of that. But there's this whole other war happening behind the scenes that nobody really knew about until all the lawsuit stuff came out, and it's all about one of the biggest prizes in Hollywood. So Taylor Swift is planning her directorial debut. She's a global superstar. She's basically at the peak of her powers right now, and when Taylor Swift decides to direct a movie, every single producer in all of Hollywood wants to be attached to that project. This is like the golden ticket. This is the thing that could make someone's entire career. Reese Witherspoon wants this badly, and honestly, she should have it. She's got the talent, she's got the massive track record with Hello Sunshine, and she's got the respect of the entire. She would actually know how to make Taylor's vision come to life in a way that honors what you do. Reese has proven again and again that she can take great books and great stories and turn them into amazing film shows. She's exactly the person who should be work Taylor on. But Blake Lively, she's terrified because she knows she can't compete with that. She knows Reese is gonna win every single time if this is about actual work and actual talent. So Blake Blake was trying to figure out how to get in on this project. Now here's the problem. Blake had directed exactly one music video for Taylor Swift Path. That's her entire directing resume. She wanted to leverage that into getting producer or director credit on Taylor's movie, but she had this credibility problem. She had no real experience. Her production company, B for Effort, was an absolute joke that had never produced a single thing. She couldn't compete with Reese on any level, so she needed a different solution, and that solution was to find a movie that was already completely put together by someone else, steal the credit for herself, and then use that to pretend she was a serious filmmaker. That's the only way she could think to. She was too lazy to actually build something from the ground up, so she was gonna take something that already existed, and that's how Justin Baldoni, It Ends With Us, became her target.
She wrested his movie away from him and decided to try to hurt him with petty, made up, out of context complaints.
Now here's the thing about It Ends. This movie was Justin Baldoni's baby. He had worked for years to get this thing. He was the director, he was the producer, he was the male lead, he had bought the rights to the book, he had developed the whole project, he had put together the entire production from scratch. But the second Blake Lively got hired to act in it, everything changed. She saw an opportunity. She decided she was gonna launch a takeover of the entire movie so she could grab producing and directing credit. She needed those credits to try and compete with Reese Witherspoon for the Taylor Swift project. She didn't care that it wasn't her work. She was gonna take it anyway. To pull this off, she used her husband, Ryan Reynolds. And here's where it gets really interesting. Ryan Reynolds is basically controlled by this extreme jealousy. Now that might sound weird at first, but when you understand how their relationship started, it actually makes complete sense. Blake linked up with Ryan while he was still with someone. She stole him away from previous partners, so Ryan Reynolds knows exactly who his wife is. I personally believe he was afraid of leaving her alone on set with a handsome director like Justin Baldoni, and also, according to reports, driven by this jealousy, Ryan appeared multiple times on the set. He was basically living there watching everything that happened, and also he demanded to see the raw footage every single day so he could watch every single interaction between Blake and Justin.
They decided that they were going to invite Justin Baldoni over for what seems to me like an ambush.
The whole situation got quite bad when Blake and Ryan invited Justin Baldoni to their penthouse in New York for what was supposed to be a professional meeting, and during this meeting, Ryan completely lost. He yelled at Justin for hours and basically threw this absolute tantrum designed to mock Justin into giving up his power and control over the movie. And still, when things didn't work out, Blake Lively made her biggest move when she created this long list of demands designed to take down Justin every bit of creative control he had. She basically wrote up this document that would give her total authority over everything, the editing, the marketing, the music, all of it. She even threatened to walk away from the movie completely and ruin the entire production. The studio didn't force just accept her demand. And because she had already caused so much chaos, stress, the studio basically gave in to avoid losing the movie entirely. Blake got what she wanted. She successfully hijacked Justin's hard work, forced her way into the editing room, took over the whole production, and demanded a producing credit. All so she could pretend she was a real filmmaker like Reese. This was never about making a good. This was always about her resume, and we all saw the mess that happened at the New York premiere of It Ends With Us. Before the event even started, Blake demanded that Justin be completely separated from her and the rest of the cast. She was basically drawing battle lines at her own movie's premiere. When she arrived and was ready to walk the red carpet and get all the camera attention, she ordered security to remove Justin. She literally had him physically pushed away from the event. His wife, his parents, his friends, all of them were marched down into the windowless basement of the building. She forced the director of the movie to sit in a basement for over an hour. And the photographs from the lawsuit show exactly what happened. Justin and his family were forced to sit around cheap fold-out tables in a dark holding area. They were completely surrounded by stacks of Dasani water bottles and boxes of concession stand popcorn. Like, that's where the director of the movie was. While Blake was upstairs smiling for the cameras, acting like she was the mastermind behind the whole thing, the actual creator of the film was locked in a base storage room surrounded by junk food and water bottles. The thing I find most strange about this whole situation is how different the real story is from the perfect image Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds show to the world. But then you read the details of how they took over the movie, and suddenly their perfect image breaks. The account given in the lawsuit papers shows a totally different picture. I find it amazing how well Blake and Ryan have sold their relationship to the public. They have built such a strong brand that even when these claims cheating, credit stealing, and drama on set come out, many fans defend that public support is their most important tool, and they work hard to keep it up with funny, well-timed social media posts. But a brand is only as good as what it's built on, and if it's built on pushing out the real creators, taking over projects, and using fighting tactics in business, then that brand is nothing more than a very believable fake front. The whole reason for the It Ends With Us takeover, remember, was for Blake to build a list of work that could compete with Reese Witherspoon. Blake needed to look like a serious producer to be taken seriously for a potential Taylor project. She tried to take a shortcut in filmmaking, just like she did with her company B for Effort. Reese, however, spent years building Hello Sunshine through real effort, reading books, creating stories, and treating others with respect. I believe that is the heart of this entire film. It's a fight between two very different ways of succeeding in Hollywood. The person who genuinely builds things versus the person who ambitiously steals. When I look at how Reese and Jennifer Garner, it feels like they are reacting to actions that break the basic rules of professional respect. What Blake and Ryan allegedly did to Justin Baldoni at his own movie premiere, putting him and his family in a basement, was the final clear proof of their attitude. But what's your take on Reese Witherspoon's warning delivered at the MTV Awards and the alleged shade thrown on the morning show? Leave your thoughts in the comments.